Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Jose Mourinho could be sacked as Manchester United manager as soon as Monday if we were to lose against Everton. This is the belief of many Manchester United fans, and I must just say, first of all, Gary Neville's come out and said that, look, the things go in cycles. Things go in cycles. It wasn't always a bed of roses with Sir Alex Ferguson. 18 months ago, Jose Mourinho was the best manager in the country, winning the Premier League with Chelsea. That time will come again. Patience is what Neville is saying. Gary Neville's been very consistent about his support for Mourinho. He didn't believe that David Moyes should be sacked either. Everybody's got their own right, and obviously that's quite a positive spin for Jose. I would say at the moment that just on that the sort of divide between United fans, and there is a divide, is probably slight. I would say 55% want Mourinho go, 45% are still unsure remain. But you know, that's the fact. But the reality is, I don't think this club has a desire to sack Jose Mourinho at this moment in time. I really, really don't. I think that they want to keep him. I think they want to use him. And I don't think there is that desire or hint that he will go. Having said that, when I look at what's being said out there, how could he actually survive another bad result against Everton? Now, I think we're going to beat against Everton. I think we will get the result against Everton. But if we were to lose against Everton, we're not going to be higher than 10th place. In fact, we'll be solidifying 10th place. We may even be 11th or 12th in the Premier League. So how do you accept that? How is that acceptable for Manchester United? When you add into the fact as well, I want to read this out. This is from Rob Blanchett, who I follow on Twitter. And he tweeted this yesterday, and he said, the game against Everton is Manchester United's 200th Premier League home game since Sir Alex Ferguson left. So we've had 200 home games since Sir Alex Ferguson left. And in them games, we scored 167 goals. Now, there are comparable stats, which I'm going to show you, but I already know that that's bad. 167 goals at home in 200 games is terrible. It's less than a goal a game for Manchester United at home. So that's absolutely terrible. But then it gets compounded by the fact that Man City, in the same amount of games at home, have scored 270. That's 100 goals more. They've scored more than 100 goals more than us in 200 games. That's bloody ridiculous. Liverpool 214, Arsenal 211, Chelsea 208. Every team of our rivals is averaging over a goal a game. Everton, in the same amount of games, 200 home games, Everton have scored 179 goals. We've scored 167. So even Everton have scored more home goals than us in 200 games. The trouble with United at the moment is, for everyone who wants to back Mourinho and say, give him more time, give him more time, it really is pissing in the wind. You really are getting it out, you're desperate, you're wee, and if you're lucky, you're facing downwind and it goes into the bushes. But actually, you know, there's a 75% chance that the wind's coming from your left, your right, or in front of you, north, east, or west, and you're going to get splashback. You're going to get your own urine on your trousers because you're going to be wrong about Mourinho. Because all you're actually doing is looking at his Wikipedia page, hoping that he's going to turn this around. Anybody who spends any amount of time looking at Manchester United, there is rafts and rafts and rafts of evidence that this is not going to work. And it can be 167 home goals in 200 games. It can be reports yesterday that players aren't turning up for sponsorship events. Reports that players don't want to sign contracts. Reports that players are fed up with the manager. Facts that the performance on the pitch is terrible. We're not scoring goals. It's negative football. We don't know our best 11. We don't know our philosophy. Even Mourinho yesterday, he didn't even need to speak about David De Gea's contract situation. He could have said it's just, at the moment, it's not a concern. It'll be resolved in the next few months. But he has to come out and say, I'm not confident he's going to sign it. And then David De Gea has come out and said, I'm not focused on contracts, I'm focused on games, I'm happy at Manchester United. So it's a storm in a teacup. De Gea has to come out and say, I'm not looking to leave Manchester United, I'm happy here. But Mourinho, quite willingly, puts it out there, knowing it's going to annoy United fans, knowing it's going to stress United fans. Who are you? You're Manchester United manager. You have no consideration for the fans at all. I mean, it's bad enough you embarrass us in front of the world against Juventus by sitting back and parking a bus. But then, you're constantly compounding it. You're mocking the board, saying they didn't spend any money on you in the summer when you've already had £400 million. And yesterday, you're talking about you're not confident De Gea's going to stay, when De Gea's come out himself afterwards and said, I'm happy at the club. I'm focusing on games, contracts will take care of themselves. He doesn't need to say it. He doesn't need to say it, but he's doing it on purpose all the time. Woe is me, woe is me. I'm not to blame, everything else around me. It's not me. I wasn't the one with the matches who started the fire. No, sir. They're just, what's that bulge in your pocket? It was something else. It's not the matches. It's a joke. Absolute joke. And interestingly enough, I do agree with a lot of people who say that if we were to lose tomorrow, he should be sacked. But I think he should have been sacked already. I've been quite blunt about that. But I do sort of like I'm very, very wary that there are a lot of different opinions, and obviously some people do still back Mourinho. Some people I really get on with very, very well. So I'm not going to mock or disrespect them. I'm yet to see why. I'm yet to see why. The only thing I ever get back is, it's a blip. These things happen. He'll turn it round. Look at his CV. He's a great manager. You know, Andy Cole came out and said that, you know, some people, and I think there is an element of stupidity to this, but some people say bring Sir Alex Ferguson back. Sir Alex Ferguson's been out of football for years. He's had a serious illness. He's well into his 70s now. He's not coming back as Manchester United manager. It's disrespectful and insensitive to even mention his name as a comeback, because he's finished as a manager. That, you know, he's got to enjoy his retirement. But Andy Cole was talking about, Andy Cole, former Manchester United striker, obviously played in the treble-winning side. He basically has said that Sir Alex Ferguson's the greatest manager ever, but he wouldn't work in modern game. And the reason he said that is because he wouldn't work in the modern game because football's evolved. He couldn't speak to people like he did then, now, because the power is now with the players. When Sir Alex Ferguson was around, the power was with the manager, they ran the club. The power is now with the players. And Sir Alex Ferguson would struggle with that because, you know, think about the boot incident with Beckham, going against the biggest icon in football at the time. You just can't get away with that, and that's from Andy Cole. But I think that's, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson's never coming back to Manchester United as manager. But I think that really rings true with Jose Mourinho as well. Jose Mourinho, his prime years were at the time when Sir Alex Ferguson hadn't even won his second European Cup. You know, we went on to win 3 Premier League titles in a row after Jose Mourinho's golden period at Chelsea. So Mourinho's in the same boat as Sir Alex Ferguson would be, really. He's a bit of a relic. He's a bit of a hark to the past. He's a bit of a, I run this club, I'm the manager, everyone sits down and listens to me, and if I say kneel, it's simple Simon says, you know, put your hand in the air, everyone will do it. Well, it's a different world now, and we've seen that over, you know, Gary Neville talks about 18 months ago, Jose Mourinho won the title, but what, in that 18 months, it's not like it's been, well, it's not 18 months ago he won the title anyway, is it? It's how he's been at United longer than that. So I think Gary Neville's actually talking about the Europa League and stuff like that being successful, but the reality is that whenever Mourinho won the Premier League title at Chelsea, maybe it was 3 years ago now, within 6 months of winning the title, he'd lost the dressing room. He comes to United, he's losing players again. So football's evolved a lot in the last 3 years. I think football, in the time that Pep's been in the Premier League and Mourinho's been back in the Premier League, football's changed massively. You know, there is this focus on fast, pressing, attacking football. And it does seem to me that the players have the power. But I think, you know, you look at someone like Klopp, he's got respect. Pep's got respect. They still do it, but I think it's a different style of management. So, you know, as I say, it is interesting. If the power is with the players, then we should blame the player, not the manager, if in the modern game really evolves, as Yusuf. Well, I think that's a very simplistic comment to make, but the reality is it's not just about that, is it? I mean, Mourinho still sets the tactics. Mourinho still sends the team out. Do you think people like Anthony Martial, Paul Pogba, want to go and play in a defensive side? No, they don't. They want to play in an offensive side. The manager sets the tactics, of course he does, but I don't think the manager is in a position where he can just drop Paul Pogba, because I think if he could, he would have done it. I even said a few weeks ago, look, I love Paul Pogba. I think he's a great player being wasted under Jose Mourinho, but the clear things that Pogba has said about Mourinho and Mourinho has said about Pogba, if this was the old Mourinho and this was Sir Alex Ferguson in charge, he would have dropped Pogba, because it would have been about putting your foot down and showing them who's boss, and that has never materialised this season. So I don't think that Mourinho has all the power he wants at Manchester United. He certainly wasn't. He didn't get more money in the summer that he wanted, rightly or wrongly. And if you listen to the rumours, that he wanted Martial gone, and the club said no. So Mourinho put Young at right back to Salim Hussein. Jose will turn it around. Top 7 should be the aim this season, says Shane McAvoy. I hope that's a joke, mate, because it's not good enough. Back your manager. He won you a European title, says Zarel. Well, it's interesting there, because I did look at something today in The Sportsman, which is like an online sports paper, and Manchester United fans voting in sort of like, they call it the Manchester referendum. Manchester United fans, Mourinho in or out, 53% out, 47% in, but non-Manchester United fans, 73% want him to stay, 27% go. I'm amazed that it's that low. I mean, it should be 100% of rival fans wanting Mourinho to stay, because he's not going to turn it around. And most of our rival fans do want him to stay, because they know the inevitable thing is that he won't be good enough. How do you know he will be sacked Monday, says William Reedy. I don't know he's going to be sacked on Monday. There's quite clearly a question mark at it. It says Manchester United to sack Mourinho after Everton game, question mark. That's what a question mark means. It ponders a question because there are United fans out there that feel if we lose this game against Everton, that will be the final nail in the coffin for Mourinho. I certainly think it should be. Certainly think it should be. I think if we did lose to Everton, we'd probably be something like 10 points off 4th place, which at this stage of the season, I don't think you can come back from that. I think you'd have to write off top 4. I think 10 points is impossible to come back from against teams that are winning week in, week out, and there's so many of them. So it would be a symbolic loss if we lost to Everton. Mathematically, you're not out of top 4, but I think seriously and realistically you are. So if we were to lose tomorrow, I think he should go. But I don't think we'll lose tomorrow. I think we'll probably win, potentially draw, and that will be enough to keep him in place. But there are people out there who think if we lose, he should be sacked. I would agree with that. I just don't think this board is capable of doing that. I don't think they've got the desire to do it, as I said. The players are unhappy by no fault of their own. I think they were happy to have Mourinho 3 years ago, but how things turned out, I don't blame the players, says a Free Rebel, which I would agree with. And I mean, of course, let me just mention this as well. This is really something I wish I'd brought out a little bit sooner. This is disgusting. Fred is now not part of the Brazil setup. He's not been called up for the latest Brazilian squad, which is totally and utterly on the shoulders of our manager. This is a player who last season was one of the best players in Europe, playing for Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League. He's been consistently part of the Brazil setup for quite a while now. He was part of the World Cup. He's been part of the last 2 squads. He's played games for Brazil, but now he's been dropped by Brazil for the simple reason, quite rightly, he's not playing games for Manchester United. £50 million signing, Mourinho doesn't even pick him. This is why we will struggle. This is almost the reason in itself why Mourinho needs removing from Manchester United. What flair player is going to come to Manchester United? The history is there to say, do not come to Manchester United if you're a flair player. Now, if you're a United fan, what do you think? Flair. That's what we want. We want the players that get us off our seat. There's one player at United who gets you off your seat, Martial. It doesn't always work, but you never know what he's going to do. And if he does do it, he's the best flair player we've got. Look at the treatment of Martial under Mourinho. It's been mixed at best. Look at Rashford under Mourinho, suppressed. Look at Pogba, suppressed. Look at Mkhitaryan, couldn't get in the team, did get in the team, got sold. Look at what's happening with Fred. Only bought in the summer, not actually done anything wrong. The last time I remember Fred playing was Wolves. I was actually at the game. He scored a goal. He nearly scored from a free kick just before half-time and got subbed off after an hour, way premature. And we've hardly seen him since. So Fred's not actually done anything wrong. He's adjusting to the league. He's now out the Brazil squad, £50 million player. You're telling me that a Leon Bailey, a Pulisic, or any sort of flair player is going to think United under Mourinho, that's the move for me. You know, it just isn't. We've got a terrible record of developing flair players under Jose Mourinho. And now, this will reverberate around Europe. Manchester United are a massive club in world football. No flair player is going to want to come to our club because they will look at it and go, I believe in my ability, but bloody hell, look at what's happening with Pogba, one of the best midfielders in the world. Fred's gone there for 50 million, can't even get in the team, ahead of bloody Fellaini or Scott McTominay. You've got Martial, the way he's been treated, Marcus Rashford. 2 or 3 years ago, those two were 2 of the best young players in world football. Now, no one really sees much of them. So no flair player is going to want to come to our club. And this is what I mean about the stack of evidence. There's so much evidence out there that it's not working. But you get people saying, yeah, but it's Jose Mourinho. Have you seen his Wikipedia page? He's going to turn this around, but he's not going to turn it around. Cantona was right. It's a bad marriage. He doesn't fit what Manchester United are all about, and that is the problem. He isn't going to turn this around. He might win the title. I must say, he might win the title. And then I wake up. But no, seriously, if Mourinho was to turn this around, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that next season he could get the right sort of players in and just grind out boring 1-0 wins, and we could get enough points to do it. It'd be painful to watch. It'd be absolutely painful to watch. But it will never be Manchester United. No matter what he does, he will never be a Manchester United manager in the way that we want him to be. And that is the issue. 50 million plus and he hardly plays, yet the manager keeps saying he's not back, says Gazel Cesar. Exactly. I mean, that's probably the comment of the day, Gazel, because the reality is, if you are, I don't like the Manchester United board, and it's nothing to do with disliking individuals like Edward or anything like that. I'm sure they're great people and they're brilliant businessmen. I just don't like the board of Manchester United because I don't like the fact that we were bought on debt by people who don't even know what Manchester United's all about. But I always separate it from Mourinho because Mourinho is using the board as a reason to get backed himself. But the reality is what he's done on the pitch is abhorrent. It's disgusting. And he has had money. And if I was a board member of Manchester United and Mourinho says I want £200 million, I'd say, well, who do you want? And when he says Jerome Boateng, I'd laugh and then kick him out the office. But also I would say, well, you've had £50 million on Fred. You don't pick him. You know, you've had 90 million on Pogba. You've not got the best out of him. But Eric Bailly, 30 million. What are you doing with him? Lindelof, the same. You know, you're inconsistent, Jose. You're haphazard. You know, if you're Eden Hazard at the club, maybe we'd look at that. But your approach to signings is mediocre at best. Why should we back you with more money? And you're always looking at players who are around 30, which to me means you're a stopgap manager. You want instant success. You don't want to develop the players that you've got. You want players who've done, other clubs and other coaches have done all the work and they're the finished article that you drop into your team. That's not Manchester United. That's not managing a football club. You want to be the manager who is basically a checkbook manager, which is what Mourinho sort of was anyway. But you want to buy players that where all the work's been done, drop them into your team, and if it works, you take all the credit. But the reality is they're already the finished article. And even that's not working, mate, is it? Because Alexis Sanchez was one of the best players in the Premier League. We've spent a lot of money to bring him at the club. He's been awful. You know, Matic, right at the end of his career, well, yeah, it's been great for the first year, but he's getting worse and worse because he's old now. So what was that signing all about? You know, these are the problems. And I think the board, if they're having those conversations with him, would be right. I wouldn't give him any more money. I wouldn't, because what he's done with the money is insufficient, realistically. Andreas Pereira, another flair player that's not developing under Manchester United. I mean, the Pereira one annoys me. I don't know about you lot, but the Pereira one annoys me a lot because if you look at Andreas Pereira's career, I think he's 22 now. He got himself in the Brazilian squad at the start of the season because he was playing for Manchester United. But look at Pereira's career. He's been very aggressive and ruthless in what he wanted to do. Mourinho wanted to keep him last season. If he'd kept him last season, Pereira would have hardly played. The last 2 years, he went to Granada. I think he was their player of the year. Yes, they got relegated, but he played really well for them. Last season, he went to Valencia. Yes, he didn't play every week, but he was involved a lot. He started some games. He came off the bench in most games. He was getting regular football. So he's actually looked at his career. He's gone out there. He's got first-team football. He's developed himself. This season's meant to be about Pereira getting involved with the United's first team. On the pre-season tour in America, he was the best player there. At the start of the season against Leicester, brilliant. Had one half against Brighton that wasn't even that bad. Pogba was far worse. Pogba was terrible in that game. Pereira gets sacrificed at half-time. We hardly see him again since. It's wrong. It's just wrong. But the reality is, let me be fair here, Jose Mourinho doesn't want to play Pereira. He doesn't want to play Fred. He doesn't want to play Martial. He doesn't want to play flair players. Read the quotes from previous biographies and all sorts. Mourinho doesn't want the ball because when you've got the ball, you make mistakes. Mourinho's a pragmatist. Mourinho is a defensive coach. Mourinho wants to prey on the mistakes of the attacking team. He wants to be tight at the back, play on the mistakes, nick a goal and defend it. That's Mourinho's career. Look at it back. That's what he does. So he doesn't want somebody like Pereira or Fred or Pogba on the ball who's going to play a risk pass, who's going to try and make things happen. Because when that risk happens and it doesn't come off, you lose possession and that could be a problem. And look at Ander Herrera, sorry. Ander Herrera was our player of the year. Last season, he was terrible. He lost Herrera's first few years at United. Remember, he couldn't get picked for Van Gaal. Van Gaal had a weird thing about Herrera, but when he played, we all used to go, he should be playing, because Herrera always looked to play a forward pass. He was aggressive in the tackle, and he always looked to play a forward pass. Over the last 18 months, you watch Ander Herrera play. He very rarely does anything other than pass it sideways. That's coaching. That's Mourinho telling him to do that. You can't have a midfielder who used to always play a risky pass, and now under this new manager, he's always playing sideways passing. It's pragmatic football, and that's what you get. And that's why flair players at this club are dying. Muda Hafid says, why does Gary Neville lick Jose's bum? Look, Gary Neville is a Manchester United legend. He's one of my favourite pundits. But I think he has a very unique, not unique, there are people like him. He has a very unique view on Manchester United. I think Gary Neville is one of those people who doesn't like the club being a sacking club. He doesn't want us to sack managers. He wants to persevere with it. And he's probably one of those people who says, well, look at Sir Alex Ferguson, if we'd sacked him after 3 years, even though that's, 30 years ago, totally different time, totally different era. I personally don't have a problem with the club being a sacking club if the evidence is there that they're not good enough. I never would have sacked Mourinho if this was first season. If this was his first season and we're 10th, he's only had 9 games, there's a lot of work to do, I would be arguing with anybody saying to sack him. That's not right. You shouldn't be sacking people after such a short period of time. But this is year 3. So look, everyone's going to have an opinion. I think that's the great thing about football. There's people in the live comments saying you should back your manager. He's the man. Stick with Jose Mourinho. That's absolutely fine. I don't mind. But you're not going to change my opinion. And I think it's time. But I don't think it will be time on Monday. But if we were to lose, I think, we've not got a game until Bournemouth. So maybe that, there's no immediate plans for a midweek Carabao Cup game. It could be an opportunity to do it. But I don't think we will lose tomorrow. But it's the long goodbye. I said it back after the Sevilla game. Unless he changes his style of football and brings in the right sort of players, this will be the long goodbye. I said it after the Sevilla game. And it is the long goodbye. And I still think even now it's the long goodbye. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think we will have Jose for quite some time. And I always will say, nothing would make me happier for him to turn it around and we played great football and we win things. Because contrary to what people think, the best thing for Manchester United is that this current manager gets the best out of himself and this current set of players, because it's the least upheaval for the club. And Mourinho does have a winning history. So if he could turn it around, this could be a golden era for United. But I'm dreaming. I'm on Lollipop Lane. It's bloody strawberry fields and all that crap. It is. It's a pipe dream. It's not going to happen. But it would be the best thing for United because, upheaval's not good. The money we're going to have to spend for that upheaval. A new manager comes in, he looks at the squad quite rightly and goes, you're crap. You can stay, not sure about you, need new players. It's not what we want. We don't want that. We want some continuity. We want some consistency. And I think that's probably what people like Gary Neville and Ryan Giggs are on about. We need that consistency. And I think there's a massive mistrust of the board as well. And this is what concerns me. I want Jose Mourinho to go. I really, really do. But I do worry about the replacement. I've got Mourinho's one problem. The board is another problem. They're not the same problem. They're very, very separate issues. So if you remove Mourinho, you've still got that mistrust of the board. What if they brought Conte in? I would cry. I'd absolutely cry if Conte got the job. I don't want Conte getting the job. I think it would be absolutely embarrassment. And that's realistic. So you've got to consider that as well. And I think that's what Ryan Giggs said, is that who's to say in 2 years' time we won't be in the same position. So it's true. It's very true. We ain't got many likes on the video, people. Please do smash a like on the video so I can take some of your comments. Let's see if we can get over, well, it'd be nice to get 500 likes. One click, bottom right hand corner. And make sure you subscribe if you're new, which is also the bottom right hand corner. The like button is below. Any watch-alongs today? Says G. Tarad Star. Awesome. No, watch-alongs tomorrow because Manchester United are playing on Sunday at 4 o'clock. So that's when that will be. Jose thinks all the other teams have good players but him, says Mohammed. Top 4 finish and an FA Cup and a Champions League run would be a good season, says Lucky Picheri. Well, look, it's not a good season. It's a good season in relation, if we got 4th place, won an FA Cup and got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, from this position now, that would be a good season. But this is the problem. Open your minds beyond the immediacy. Look at the fact that it's year 3. Look at the fact that last season we finished 2nd. Look at the fact that Mourinho's played bad football in his whole time at United, but what we've always clung on to is progress. In his first season, he won us a Europa League. That's progress from the season before. Last season, as bad as the football was at times, 2nd place is progress. If the football's not going to be good enough, you've got to have the progress. Are we getting progress this year? No. We're still getting bad football and we're not getting the progress. 2nd place, we're not finishing 2nd this season. So whatever Mourinho achieves, he's regressing from last season. And when you're regressing and you're on the slide down, that's a key indicator that something's going wrong. Hopefully Conte's going to Real Madrid, says Prathim Paul. That'll please Courtois. News about Pogba to Juventus using Alexandra as part of the deal. What do you think, says Purple Heart? It'd be a bad deal now. It would be a bad deal. Well, it'd be a bad deal anyway, but we don't need Alexandra. We've got Luke Shaw. We don't need a left back now. And I was mad on getting Alexandra. I thought he'd be brilliant signing for us, but we don't need him now. We've got Luke Shaw, so that would be a bad signing as far as I'm concerned. A lot of people enjoying the video. I've just blasted through a lot of things that are on my mind and tried to bring in a lot of what you say. I do read your comments underneath the videos, so if you're not watching live and you do comment below, I read a lot of that and it gives me a lot of sort of stimulation in the mind to start of, think, I want to talk about that, I want to talk about that. And I think it's good to pull in different things. Like I said, the 167 goals in 200 home games is ridiculous when Man City have scored 270. Thing TV says the football has been consistently unwatchable and we're losing. Good times to be a United side. Look, I hope we win tomorrow. I hope we win 3 or 4-0 and we see some good football. And, I wouldn't be Mourinho in if that happened because that's flip-flopping. But I would say that's what I want to see. Let's see if we do it against Bournemouth. Let's see if we do it against City. And that wouldn't surprise me if that happened. I've got to be honest. I've always said I think United under Mourinho is 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So over the last week, we've had a step back. I think an Everton would be a step forward. Bournemouth maybe draw. City lose, step back, and then we come back after the international break, we beat Palace, step forward, next game maybe draw, then lose, and I think that's what's going to happen with Mourinho. But ultimately we're playing such a big game of catch up for 4th place. We're not going to get 4th place with 1 step forward, 2 step back, but I think Jose Mourinho can keep his job with 1 step forward, 2 step back, because when you haven't got football people above him who understand that top 4 is probably already gone, they won't make the decision until it's mathematical. Anyway, I've got to go and do... Fraser says, how is Mourinho getting away with everything? Stats don't lie. If it was Barca or Madrid, he would be gone a long time ago. I think you're right with that. But look, I love it. I love all the opinions. Bring back the 1K likes superstition, says Alec Bursell. That we do that on the watch along, 1,000 likes and we'll beat Everton. So if you want to smash a like on the video, that would be great. We need every little bit of superstition we can help with. But I've got to go and do a live stream on my channel, which is Mark Goldbridge live stream. I'm playing a bit of Red Dead Redemption 2. So if you want to join me there, I'll be going live in 5 minutes. Just type in Mark Goldbridge live stream and I'll be live there. Riding my horse, drinking my milk. And I got ate by a bear yesterday, which was quite horrific. And I killed a deer. It's harsh living on Red Dead Redemption, but it's good laugh. So join me for that if you want me to on Mark Goldbridge live stream. I'll be live there in 5 minutes. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone who's got involved. I really enjoyed that video. Somebody messaged me this morning and said, I think he's going to be sacked if we lose to Everton. Can you discuss it? I thought, we haven't got a game today. Let's go for it. So thanks everyone for watching. Tomorrow's the big game watch along and fan cams and another God knows what day for Manchester United fans. But by which stage, there's a load of games today. We could be 10 points off bloody whatever. Anyway, you're all fantastic. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you on my stream in a few minutes if you're going to join me.